Hello everyone, and today is not only the release of the new patch for Total War Rome Remastered, which as I've detailed in many videos adds so much in terms of mod support and modding abilities, but it's also the day I'm releasing Chivalry Remastered, the port I've been working on of Chivalry Total War, the medieval era mod for Rome Total War that was released, well, over 15 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, in this video, I'm going to be talking about it, what I've added and what I have faithfully maintained as the same. So you can see here that I've already taken advantage of the extra modding abilities added by the latest patch. And you can see that aside from the main faction roster, I've added a few more factions. So let me quickly go through them here. In Chivalry, you had the Republic of Pisa, the Zira de Berbers, the Castilians, the Bohemians, the Moors, the Cumans, Armenia, the Hungarians, the Byzantine Empire, the Seljuks of Rome, the Western Franks, the Eastern Franks, the Holy Roman Empire, the English, the Principality of Kiev, the Siculo-Norman Kingdom, the Fatimid Caliphate, Poland, Denmark, Aragon, and the Grand Seljuk Empire. Now, in Chivalry Remastered, I have ported all of those factions and all their units, but additionally, I have added a few more factions that I felt were necessary and factions that were fairly easy to add. So I added the Kingdom of Georgia first off, and now I'm recording this a little bit before release, so things might be a little bit different in the release version. But yeah, the Kingdom of Georgia is present in the Third Crusade submod for Chivalry. And of course, in that submod, Chivalry pushes the faction limit to its limit in the original Rome. So that submod actually had to delete other factions in order to add new factions. So I added Georgia and the whole Georgian roster from that submod into Chivalry Remastered without removing any other factions. I've added the Pechenegs as a horde right next to the right north of Constantinople. So that's going to make your life miserable. And I've added the Danish-mended Emirate, which was based around Amasya and Sebastia in Asia Minor. And I felt, since they played a big role in the Crusades and in politics in this time period, I felt that it was important to add them, so I did. These two factions, they share units with other factions, so I didn't have to do too much work. But of course, I would like to do even more work on them for sure. So let us get into a campaign here and see what our situation is. So I suppose let's go for Sicily. This is just a showcase video. So again, not too critical. Of course, only the early era campaign will be playable upon the release of Chivalry Remastered on the first day because I have not completed the porting of the other era campaign, which is in the original Chivalry, which is the Crusader Epic campaign, which starts in 1099 after the formation of the Crusader states. I am working on getting that ready, but it will take a little bit of time, which I have not had enough of recently to keep working on the mod. But the early era is fully there, fully complete as it was in the original Chivalry, with, of course, some new additions. I have shown off some of the other additions I've made in terms of units and things of that nature, and regions as well. And of course, here I will show off at least a final or close to final version of the campaign. And perhaps we can even play a few turns as Sicily. The Sicilian campaign, I think I chose it here because it's actually a campaign I have not touched in terms of the original chivalry balance. And I actually have not changed the regions in the vicinity of the Kingdom of Sicily, the Norman Kingdom of Sicily, because I felt that the original chivalry balance here was done pretty well. So quickly, I'm going to show off a few more changes I've made to the campaign map here. So one of them, you can see in northern Italy, I have added one new province, and that is Bologna. The city of Bologna in the province of Emilia-Romagna. I felt that this was a province that was necessary to add with the increased region limit. Of course, regions are unlimited now. You can have however many regions you want. In France, I have not edited the regions either, but I want to show where I have edited some regions. I have edited Scandinavia a bit. I've added Västergötland. I've changed the sort of configuration of these settlements to be a little more historical. I have changed Schleswig, so it is now the province of Söderjylland. And this has been done for historical purposes. So Schleswig is now controlled by Denmark. So Denmark is a bit stronger. I've added Hamburg and the province of Holstein, which used to be Schleswig's province, to the Holy Roman Empire. So that's what I've done here. And Skara is a new province up here in the north. Additionally, I've added the Kingdom of Georgia. This is the first time I'm showing this off. Of course, I have shown off some of the Asia Minor map changes, but I have not shown off the Caucasus map changes because I couldn't show Georgia yet. So Georgia is an Eastern Orthodox nation. That's another thing I should mention, that I've added Eastern Orthodoxy to the mod as well as Apostolic Christianity. So the Kingdom of Georgia has two cities at the start, the capital Kutaisi, and the important city of Mtskheta, which is where Georgian kings were crowned in this period and was, of course, the capital, the old capital of the Kingdom of Kartli. So I wanted to add it. It's a nice place. I've seen it. And Tbilisi is, of course, independent, representing the Emirate of Tbilisi, controlled by the Shaddadids, who were essentially vassals of the Grand Seljuks, but I've made them independent here. And of course, we have the Kingdom of Telavi, or the Kingdom of Kakheti and Hereti, represented by the town of Telavi here, also independent. And I've changed this, the province of Alania here. I've made the city Max now, which was the capital of this kingdom at the time. And yeah, I have added several provinces in this region as well. I've added, in the original chivalry, there's only Ani and Van, the provinces of Armenia and Vaspuragan. So I've added a ton more. I've added Ganzak, the province of Aran. I've added Gapan in the province of Artsakh and Bakh. So this represents the independent Eastern Armenian principalities that remained after the collapse of the Kingdom of Greater Armenia. And as you can see here, there's a new religion here as well, Apostolic Christianity. So the Armenian provinces have Apostolic Christianity as the dominant religion. Ganzak is another area controlled by the Shaddadid, vassals of, essentially vassals of the Grand Seljuks. It was a Kurdish dynasty. I was debating whether to add Ganzak or Barda or both, but I went with Ganzak here. It was a bit tight. I don't want to make things too dense. I also added a couple of provinces here because the Grand Seljuks didn't have enough provinces in the east at all. So I added Basra. I also added Hamadan, and I added Tabriz. And I feel like this situation is better. The Grand Seljuks are definitely more powerful than they used to be. I've also added Theodosiopolis, Garin, and I've also added Manzikert. I wanted to add Manzikert not because it's, one of the most important fortresses in the region or anything, but because of its symbolic importance. Of course, Manzikert is one of the important victory conditions for the Byzantine player. So if you want to have a victory as the Byzantines, you've got to take Manzikert, the province of Turuberan. I've also added here Maya Farkin, the province of Zopk. I've added Horomklan, the province of Kesun. And I have added a new province here, Vahka, the Kilikian Gates. And this is the new capital of the Armenian faction. And they have to conquer from there because, of course, historically their territory was just in the mountains up here before they were able to conquer the southern Kilikian towns. After that, up to Kalanoros. So I added Kalanoros as well. Seleucia and Sis were in the original Chivalry. I changed Sis to Anazarba because Anazarba was the capital of the Armenian kingdom, or principality, in the 12th century. So I changed that to Anazarba. And I added Pamphylia, the town of Kalanoros, which changed hands several times between the Byzantines, the Seljuks, and the Armenians as well in the 11th, 12th, and 13th centuries, and 14th centuries as well. So that's important. I've also added Sidon here as an important sort of Crusader state capital. And you can see the front lines between the Fatimids and the Grand Seljuks are not very clean. So this gets messy pretty quickly. This is another major faction I added, the Danishmendid Emirate. These guys are based in Sebastia. And yeah, they have a pretty decent starting position. Sebastia is also another new province I've added that was not in the original Chivalry. I've also added Amastris for the Byzantines, and Nicomedia, and Philadelphia. And I think that's... Oh, and I also changed Mistra to Monemvasia because Mistra was not founded yet in this start date, but Monemvasia was. So I put Monemvasia in there. And the Balkans I changed up a bit here. I had originally added Ohrid as well, but I removed it because I felt it was too dense here. It made it a little bit unbalanced. And we have a new faction here, the Bulgarians, under the Georgi Voite, a rebel. And they have one stack, so the Byzantines historically were able to defeat them by 1073. And if you play your cards right as the Byzantines, you can defeat them. So this is a near impossible faction, which is why I didn't make it playable. Additionally, we have the Pechenegs, another new faction I've added. So the Pechenegs are essentially pretty similar to the Cumans up north here, but they are a horde. The Pechenegs are a horde who have sort of invaded Wallachia and the province of Paristrion for the Byzantines. I also renamed Bulgaria to Paristrion, and I renamed Skopje's province to Bulgaria because this is more Byzantine layout of these provinces here. I've also added Belgrade, the province of Sirmia, as a Byzantine province. Now, the Pechenegs have they have a decent start if you think about it. The Byzantines are in big trouble, that's for sure. In vanilla chivalry, in the old chivalry, the Byzantines don't control anything in Asia Minor. But I wanted to sort of make the starting situation a little more reminiscent of their starting position in Medieval 1 and of the historical start position. So they actually control a lot more territory, except for the southeastern provinces where, we have the rebellion of Philaretos Brachamios and essentially the rebel Yosef Tarchanaiotes in Antioch. And we have a bunch of rebel Byzantine garrisons down here, which of course are easy pickings for the other major factions here in the area. And I had originally made the Seljuks of Rum a horde faction, but I didn't like the AI behavior. So I gave them Caesarea, which of course they had been raiding, and the Byzantines really didn't have control of this area very well at all at this time. So I made Caesarea their capital again, as it is in vanilla chivalry. And the Byzantines, their army has been destroyed essentially in Asia Minor, so the Byzantines have a big task ahead of them, defending against the Pecheneg horde, the Bulgarian rebellion, the Seljuks of Rum, and the Danish Mendids, and the Grand Seljuks to the east. Luckily, the Grand Seljuks now have the Kingdom of Georgia to contend with, which it doesn't start out in a good position. The Kingdom of Georgia starts out in a pretty poor position, especially since Tbilisi is not under their control. So, yeah, the Grand Seljuks at least, and they also have other rebel provinces to deal with, at least in the early part of the campaign. So that makes that a little more balanced. I'm going to be adding a few more things here, but let me quickly show off Iberia. I added the province of Galicia, which was an important province that was missing from the original chivalry, and I also added Badajoz as one of the important Taifa kingdoms in the south. So but I am going to really alter the Iberian cities and provinces in the future. This is probably something I'm going to work on for the next update, because there is some ahistorical stuff there you can look into. Other than that, let's get back to Sicily here. So Sicily starts out in a fairly precarious position. If you think about it, it's not a great position. But the good thing is that you don't really have any major wars or neighbors that want to destroy you at the start. So actually, you're not in a bad position at all. You have time to build up your economy, build up your military, and sort of handle everything you need to. So historically, they had just taken Bari from the Byzantines, which had been the last Byzantine stronghold in southern Italy. So let's go for building land ownership, because that provides a bit of a tax income bonus, and will sort of cement our control over these settlements here. So let's get some troops together, and let's go against Syracuse and Girgenti. So in Bari we have a bunch of troops. So let's send them down here. Get troops together in Palermo province, Valdemone. And King Roger, or Prince Roger, should come with us as well, of course. Oh, and of course, Christianity in original chivalry has now become Catholicism. And Christianity has been split into Catholicism, Eastern Orthodox, and Apostolic. So the Eastern Orthodox factions are now Kiev, Bulgaria, the Byzantine Empire, and the Kingdom of Georgia. So we have a bunch of Orthodox factions now. And there's one apostolic faction, that is Armenia. And of course, there are a bunch of Catholic factions. So we've got a bunch of Norman knights here, which is good. But I would like to have a little bit more infantry here. So we can recruit some Saracen heavy archers as well as spear militia. And due to our economy, I think we should go for spear militia at the moment. So let's get as many of our troops together as possible, and then we'll march down south to Syracuse. Of course, there were still Muslim emirates in southern Sicily at this time. Oh, yeah, I also added the Papal States. Should have mentioned that. So let's, should we besiege now? They do have a lot of troops there, that's for sure. I think I should wait for my infantry reinforcements. And my troops from Apulia, Calabria. Okay, so we got some infantry recruited. And there we go. So now I think we can take on Syracuse here. As you can see, I have added in all the Chivalry UI elements that could sort of be added to the Rome Remastered UI, which is of course different compared to the original UI. And you can also see I've added buttons and things from graciously donated or allowed by the Princes, Kings, and Heroes mod team. I can't talk today. I haven't made a video in a little while, so that's why. So yeah, these medieval buttons are from Princes, Kings, and Heroes, which is a mod I will be talking about soon. But the other UI elements like these picture images and things, these are all from Chivalry. And these other changes like the silver buttons, silver cursor, and things, these are done by me. Because I can at least change colors. That's like the limit of my image editing abilities. Okay, so still besieging Syracuse. I at least want to get one battle in here as Sicily. So as you can see, I'm showing off a bunch of UI elements here. There are still a few descriptions that I have to update. All the descriptions are from the original Chivalry, but of course I've added some new things. And I have yet to edit a lot of old descriptions that need editing. So, and of course, in the original Chivalry, vassal was spelled wrong everywhere. So that's one thing I've changed. But there is still a lot that needs to be done for sure. Yes, Syracuse will not survive under the onslaught of all these knights. That's for sure. Now, the thing with Chivalry is that there were a lot of mechanics that didn't quite work right in the original, because the original Rome, you know, you could specify negative bonuses in terms of building effects and things of that nature. But those bonuses didn't work. Now, the because in the original Rome, a lot of those bonuses just did not work properly. Now, in Rome Remastered, in the latest patch, those bonuses have been fixed. And because of that, I've had to rebalance a lot of the buildings, because a lot of the buildings provided negative happiness bonuses and negative law bonuses. And because of that, and because it didn't work properly, the negative bonuses didn't work properly, you know, when those things were fixed in the patch, they didn't work properly. The campaign was broken. It didn't work properly because things were fixed. So I have taken all that into account and I've fixed all of that. Okay, we're going to have a sort of double line here. I'm going to put my Italian spear militia here on the right, the city militia, because they are better than the regular spear militia. So they have some tribal horse archers we should be able to deal with here, because we have a whole bunch of knights that I'm not deploying because I'm talking and not paying attention. You know what? They're coming forward with horse archers, so I'm going to have my knights just charge in here. They have some Roulan bodyguards there in the center. All right, there we go. And you can see a lovely chivalry settlement here, which of course were ported, especially thanks to the efforts of Syriana Stegovax, the developer of Total War 1942. Really helped me out with the buildings here, porting the buildings. I tried so many times to get him to work, and I just couldn't do it until he provided significant assistance. The enemy still has a bunch of units in the castle. Can I get in there? All right. So our knights have taken care of the enemy cavalry. Of course, we had the cavalry advantage, which you saw. And without their cavalry, they just have levy infantry. So even though their army was pretty big, it was mostly levy troops. So they were easy pickings. The Sicilians actually have a unique bodyguard unit, the Sicolo-Norman nobles. And this is different compared to the other Catholic factions who have the household knights. Okay, guys, so let's flank these guys. And then that should be the end of this battle. Oh, I didn't notice these guys. I guess these Roulan bodyguards had kind of escaped. But they're surrounded by spear militia. And there you have it. Let's have a unit of knights get over there and hit the Roulan cavalry quickly. Let's get the enemy general there, and then we'll finish this. And there you have it.
We need fight no more. The enemy are in full flight, and the victory is yours.
All right. So Syracuse has fallen. As you can see now on the settlement captured screen, it now displays the public order and the population of the city when you capture it. So you no longer have to sort of scroll to see, right, what the stats of the settlement are. So now you can just decide what to do based on what you see here. So I'll go for enslave. And our faction leader has died. But he died valiantly. Or I mean, he died. He died after taking Syracuse anyway. In any case, I think this will be a good place to stop here. Quickly, I want to show you some of the developments here on the campaign map. Oh, and Papal States here, you can see. So as you can see, the Byzantine situation is not great. They've lost Iconium, as they should. And the Seljuks of Rome, not sure what they're doing. But other developments are sort of going to plan. So in any case, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say for today, for this video. I'll be doing some more in-depth campaign videos, more in-depth descriptions and things of that nature. So in any case, if you like this video, if you like videos about the historical Total Wars and their mods, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.